ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
Catherine, I saw on Facebook the other day that your son was giving luge a try. What is that all about?
Yes, this was really kind of fun. USA Luge, the Team USA for luge, had what they call a slider search in a neighboring town to us, where they brought a bunch of sleds on wheels and they parked them at the top of the hill and sent the kids down.
That's so cool.
And it was really fun. He had a great time.
Did you like it? Is he interested? What do you think he'll do?
I think he's interested. He had a good time and he was able to steer it. So
Wow.
that was more than I think I could do.
Yeah. I know there's probably actual athletic skill involved in steering it the right way and holding your body the right way, but it always just looks like basically once it starts, you just lean back and pray. And that's a sport I could probably do.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of technique involved. It's very subtle, but I saw enough kids veer right off the side of the road into the hay bales to know that, the ones that weren't doing that were doing something to get themselves over the...
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think subtle technique kind of defines this podcast as well, right? We often look like we're going off the track and off the side of the hill, but we bring it back. We steer it back, right?
Totally do.
Hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Terry Morrow, and while I do not have majorettes practicing outside of my window as I have had recently, band camp has started, so it is possible that at some point I will be drowned out by the sound of a marching band playing their way back to the music room. So y'all will know what that is if you hear it. With me today are Catherine Haleko. Hello, Catherine.
Hi.
What's going on with you today?
Well, we're not luging today. We're just sticking with skating. Even though
we're not luging, we're winning.
Even though it's summer, there's always skating going on.
And we have Nicole Eridix here also. You have something exciting happening today, right?
Yeah, my son's
traveler returning.
Yeah, got a returning traveler.
From Japan.
He's been in Japan for a month teaching English and learning about Japanese life and culture.
And eating miso soup.
And eating lots of miso soup and enjoying himself. So he's on his way home right now.
Leading a quiet Spartan lifestyle to prepare him for moving into a frat house.
Exactly.
He feels he's got a lot coming to him at this point, I would think. Bring on the indulgence.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's feeling like he's accomplished something significant and now he deserves to treat himself. So talk about... well, we'll get into that later.
I can see that. I can understand that feeling like you have done something good, and then therefore you have a whole bunch of good times owed to you, which is why so many people go off diets the minute they stop following it. All right, bring on the chocolate cake right over here. Well, today we are going to... among other things, play along with the first 7 jobs hashtag. We're going to shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, and we are going to hear an interview with Nicole and Maureen Wallace about all of the paperwork it takes to get kids through school. But first, we're going to talk about choosing your battles, a parenting philosophy that I believe in so strongly, and yet so often find impossible to do. Yeah. As with pretty much any parenting strategy, it's all better in theory than in practice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I was real good at it when my kids were younger. And I even now still, there are things that I just choose not to engage with, like my son playing with keys in church. It keeps him quiet. It annoys people if he jingles them too much. You know what? he's sitting. He's not rolling. Even now, it's difficult for him. If that keeps him there, if your prayerful experience is disrupted by the light sound of jingling keys, then I will say a prayer for you. But there are other things that I know I should not make a big deal of. I know, and yet it is so hard. I have a feeling Nicole is in the same place with me with adult children and wanting to tell them how to live their lives, because we know, right? We know.
Exactly.
We would like to
Always.
magnanimously offer the wisdom of our experience,
Yeah.
and yet so unappreciated.
We give it so freely. And
Exactly. And it does not help that I remember how much I hated my mother doing that to me when I was that age. It should that perspective should make it easy to avoid choosing that battle. I know how it turns out, and yet into the breach I continually ride. Catherine, your kids are younger. How are you doing with choosing your battles? Is that something that you try to do?
Yes, I do try to do, but sometimes I think I go too far off the other end and just give up.
Yes, well, that is the danger.
Yeah. I mean, like church is a good one. They fought me so hard on just going to church that
Really?
I haven't gone in a really long time, and then I feel guilty. But then, it's just not a good experience for me if I have to drag them there.
Yes.
So it's like a no-win situation.
We make ours go. I make them go, but I have given up on the kneeling. I have given up on the saying prayers during the Mass. I have given up on pretty much everything other than having your butt
Physical
on a pew.
presence.
God, I've done my bit. I've brought them here. From this
You
point,
do the rest.
a dove coming down would be helpful.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty good about, not arguing about, I don't know, what they wear or even sometimes what they eat, what they do with their time, how they spend their money, which we talked about a little while ago. But yeah, I think sometimes you do have to fight a battle, and then that's really hard.
It really is. It's so exhausting, and so rarely is the outcome satisfactory.
Right.
And even if you win, there's always that feeling of ruling over an occupied territory. It's like,
right.
the people do not welcome you with open arms after you win the battle.
What's that
They're in
about?
basements plotting the uprising. So
Yeah, I
that
don't
makes
know.
it difficult. How are you doing with it, Nicole? What you are anticipating battle ahead this year?
I'm ready to embark on my
Yes.
next pick your battle adventure.
Oh my.
It's almost
And
like,
it's difficult.
choose your adventure, right? Like,
That's right.
which page are you going to turn?
Oh, I think should be our next project, is to create parenting choose your adventure books.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you yell about the laundry? Do you let the laundry go? Turn
Exactly.
to page such and such.
It's like those Encyclopedia Brown books, where you
I think there is a market for that.
Yeah, no, well, with my son coming home, he is then going to start gearing up for his school year, his junior year at university. And he lived with some roommates. He had some roommates last year in a house, and they decided that they would find another house, and so they went and took over they took over the lease from another house from another group of guys, young men. And so, but this house apparently is well renowned for its entertaining.
Entertaining. The
Oh,
use of the
dear.
word entertaining.
Yeah, so it's so I'm a little worried about what
Yeah.
that's going to look like and how that will affect his studying. And so we're trying to be mindful of the fact that he is an adult and should well know by now is distracting and what isn't. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of gearing up for that.
Keep a really close watch on like his Facebook, Instagram, all his social media presences. When you start
Well,
seeing pictures that
you
look
know,
like trouble.
well, and the thing is that he uses Snapchat, so and I'm not a part of that, and so unfortunately, I don't have that at my fingertips anymore.
Dear,
Social
does
media.
your daughter is your daughter on Snapchat?
She is, but she doesn't follow him.
Oh, would he
So
let her? Because
nope.
would she rat
Which
him out? Oh,
you might not want her following him.
that's true. That's true. I was just thinking little sister would rat him out,
No,
but
no.
you need to cultivate his friends and find a
Exactly.
snitch.
Yeah. So yeah, we're anticipating
Or else catfish him. You know, create a identity on Snapchat of a cute girl.
Oh, he already has a girlfriend, though. That's a problem.
Well, see, that would see if he accepted it. That would be you would know there was trouble.
Oh yeah, even worse. Oh, the endless. It's like a trap, a big net.
Yes, it really is.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. How do your spouses do in terms of choosing battles? Do
Mm.
they choose the same battles, or do they
No.
have their own battles that they choose, or are they just Switzerland?
Ah,
They choose their own ones.
yeah.
They.
You're
When
good.
I say they, he.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he chooses his own, and it's usually not the one I would choose.
Well, I have that same thing. It's like we each have our own battles that we pick, and the other one always thinks it's kind of ridiculous. So
Right.
you know, we're lending aid and comfort to the enemy usually.
Right.
Like, Dad doesn't really mean it. It's so silly that he cares about that. And then I'm sure
Isn't
he
that the
rolls
truth?
his eyes when I go off about something.
Yeah.
So that is a bad thing. You should really agree on these things, but I think the cosmetic. I'm willing to give up on the cosmetic things. Like standing up straight when you walk, or using good table manners, or not jingling your keys in church. And
Mm.
although he doesn't care about the jingling the keys in church, I care more. I care about people looking at us. But there are things that I don't care about that he thinks are important.
Yeah.
And he will yell about every time that you have to finish your food, and you have to set the table a certain way, and you have to. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have the energy for that.
Right.
Sort of like
Yeah.
the things that Catherine, like the laundry and the dishwasher. I don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
Does your husband pick battles, Nicole? Or does he allow you to do that? Does he
You know,
delegate?
He'll do his own, and then I'm usually standing there shaking my head, thinking, "Are you kidding me?" And then, of course, my daughter or my son, they're looking over to me to please.
Yeah. It's like who's the boss and who's the bad guy in the
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
And
So, and no, they're not usually things that I would get too stressed about, but I think overall I'm the more stressy parent, so
yeah, I think we can all lay that claim.
Right.
so I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic in our house.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it was the same. I think we have the same dynamic that I had growing up, which is that my dad would get mad about something, and it would be a big boom, and then it would be over.
Yeah.
It's like the guy in the house is like an earthquake. It hits,
Yeah.
you deal with it, and it's done. Whereas I'm like like a hurricane or a tornado. There's a long build up. There's the little things flashing on the TV saying danger, danger, go hide. And then there's a big blow up, and then there's an eye of calm, and then there's another big blow up, and there's devastation for days.
You've really
basically
thought
the
this
way it
through,
works.
Terry.
That's what I feel like most of the time.
Isn't
So
that the truth, though? You usually have somebody who's just totally explosive, and then the other person is kind of
The slow burn.
yes,
slow burn. Yes.
That's
Oh,
exactly it.
dear, our poor children.
Yeah. Do your kids choose their battles with you? Do you see them doing that? That they like, is this important enough to me to get in trouble for, or am I just going to let it slide?
Yeah, I think they do. My daughter more so, My son will just, make decisions that are contrary to his best interests. just
Boy.
because he's mad.
Yeah.
My daughter will tend to be able to avoid that.
And maybe a teenage skill,
Yeah.
something that comes along.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
you see yourself being played and you think, am I angry about this or am I proud that they figured that out? Good job, honey. That was nicely done.
Oh, too funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
My daughter has always been able to, she's good at mollifying my son, even
Oh, yeah?
from the time when she was really little. And we
Yeah.
probably shouldn't have been, enabling that. But it helped, go
Yeah.
tell, go talk to him and see if, help him understand that if he does this or that, then it'll be better for him if he cooperates, or and she would
Yeah.
actually be able to get him to
Really?
That's
Mm-hmm.
nice. We have like the opposite situation on our house, which is that my
Mm-hmm.
son will take on other people's battles. It's like if my daughter is getting in trouble for something, he will like step in between us and her and try to provoke us to be mad at him instead.
Aw.
I'm constantly, I think I've said this before, I'm constantly having to say, don't get in other people's trouble. Just
Right.
but he always does. He still does it now. And it's very sweet on the one hand, but I'm busy being mad at your sister right now.
Right, I don't have time for you.
Exactly. Get out of the way.
Do you think
he
he's
throws
doing it
himself on the
to
plate.
protect her, or
I don't know. I think he, to some degree, he just doesn't like there to be turmoil.
Yeah.
And so he wants to, oftentimes he will admit to things just to get it over with,
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
that might be, if I get in trouble and I accept the punishment, then it will be over and everything
Yeah.
will calm down. But, which is really excruciating as a parent to see that and think,
Yeah.
I wish I could make things calm all the time. I really wish I could. But I don't think anybody can do
I
that.
don't think so.
Yeah, that's not a battle I can win. that would be choosing a battle with myself.
to dry. They don't have.
Yeah, do they?
They,
There's
it's
no
it's
honor
every
among them.
man for themselves in our house. Man, woman, whatever, animal.
They have no qualms about blaming the
Oh,
dog.
dear.
It wasn't
Yeah.
me that chewed up that wall. It was the dog.
I really hope it was the dog. But in that case,
Oh, boy.
oh dear.
Well, maybe we should hear our speed round. What do you think?
You should choose to
the-
end this battle and
Right.
fight the battle of the speed round. So what was our topic this week, Catherine?
Well, this time on our special Friday speed round, Amanda joined us for a little stroll down memory lane. And here it is. So recently, the hashtag #first7jobs has been trending on Twitter, and I've even seen it on Facebook too. I did hear a radio report that it was started by a songwriter who was crowdsourcing material for a song. So anyway, I thought we could jump in on that hashtag and list off our first 7 jobs. Nicole, you want to go first?
Oh dear. Okay. Good thing I wrote this down. Okay, so I was a babysitter, a lifeguard, a cashier at Kmart, a rock crusher in a mine,
I love that one.
a sales clerk in a clothing store, a historical walking tour guide,
Nice.
and a YMCA summer camp leader.
That is a great
Wow.
list, and it makes me think of the song, one of these things is not like the other.
There's no common thread.
Oh, how about you, Terry? What's your list?
Well, I forgot about babysitter because I probably did that
I
too,
forgot
but
that one too. Yeah.
The first job I remember is working in the library in high school and actually getting paid for it, which was cool. So I was a library assistant. I was a very bad ice cream scooper shoved over into gift wrapping. I was a youth leader in my college church. I was a secretary for the Federal Aviation Administration at the Santa Barbara Airport. I was a greeting card editor for Hallmark. And then I was a freelance writer, and then I was a secretary again at an ad agency.
Awesome. All right. Now, Amanda, didn't you have ice cream scooping in your past? Short-lived.
It was so short-lived. It's not even on my first 7
didn't
jobs.
make your list.
It didn't make
Okay.
my list, and I actually left babysitter off too because I kind of. So my list would be lifeguard, camp counselor, sales clerk at an office supply store, jewelry sales at Service Merchandise. If everyone remembers Service Merchandise, right?
I do. Yes.
I was an interlibrary loan assistant at the college library when I went to college. I was a teacher, and then I was an early intervention specialist / parent training specialist. All of that before I even started writing. So,
You were just warming up.
I guess so.
That's right. And I will close out with my list. I started with a paper route.
Woo.
No one else had a paper route?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. It didn't last long at the time I did.
I split it with my brother, so I did some days of the
Oh.
week and he did some days of the week.
That's great.
So newspaper carrier, a babysitter was definitely on there. I was an office assistant at an ad agency, which included everything from driving stuff around town and filing but using my handwriting in some of their ads because they like my handwriting.
Cool.
Woo.
I was a candy seller in college at a little kiosk. Then I was an office assistant at a science lab in college. I was a newspaper reporter one summer, and I was an editorial assistant at a magazine.
Cool.
We are a diverse group of people.
You've had some good jobs.
Yeah.
And some odd jobs.
Yes. So you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday, and fairly often we do take a little trip into our past
Yes, we do.
and talk about things that have happened. So, and we always include Amanda in our speed rounds, which is great.
Yes. All right. And now we are going to bring you some of the things we have read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. We've just now been talking about stress, and so I wanted to mention a couple of things that have been helping manage stress in my life lately. One of them I've been playing for a while is a game called Flow that basically involves connecting colored dots into sort of a pipe system and using up all the little squares in a grid to do it. And it gets harder by more dots or easier by fewer dots. And there's just something very comforting about it. And I find that if I can't work it out, if I go do something else for a while and I go back to it, I can solve it. That has been very comforting and stress relieving. Today, I found something that is called an app called Stress Ball, Baal. And what it is basically a little critter on your phone screen that you can pummel the heck out of. And it screams and morphs to other things. You can fling it up to the top of your phone. You can fling it down to the bottom, and just like a stress ball that you would squeeze, but it's like a stress ball for your phone. So my daughter and I will be trying that out to see if it keeps us from doing the same thing to one another. So what have you used recently that you enjoy, Catherine?
Not that I've used, but I'm going to mention Donors Choose, which is a kind of a crowdsourced funding for teachers and school projects. And it's a great program. And they are partnering with Target to support projects that have to do with health and nutrition.
Nice.
So teachers can submit a project that has to do with either helping kids get 60 minutes of physical activity every day, or about something that has to do with helping them with eating more fruits and vegetables.
Oh, nice.
I believe it's something about nutrition. I may have forgotten the exact specifics of it, but anyway, so they're going to be Target is going to be kicking in a lot of the funding for it, but I think it's a great opportunity for teachers and schools to come up with some really creative projects.
Excellent. And Nicole, how about you? Do you have something you want to share this week?
Well, yeah, I haven't been very productive this past week because I discovered a new show on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And I've been binge watching it. It's not new to Comedy Central. It's new to me. I've been binge watching it, so I haven't got much done. But it's hilarious, and I love it. It's very raunchy and edgy. It's called Broad City.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard of that. Never watched it, but heard great things about it.
yeah, it's very clever and just a great watch. And it's, I believe, Amy. I don't even know how to say her last name. Poehler.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's somehow involved with the directing or the creation of it. I'm not exactly sure her role, but anyway, it's kind of fun, and they have all sorts of celebrities will do cameos, and
Cool.
so yeah, I've been making my way through. I think there's 3 seasons and almost done, but
It's always fun to discover something and then be able to watch the whole thing all at
yeah,
once.
yeah. So I've been escaping by watching.
How's that going over the editing corrections going there, Nicole?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. So my editor isn't listening to this.
But you also spent some time recently talking with Maureen Wallace about paperwork, right? About the school paperwork.
Yeah, Maureen and I had a great conversation because she's on the she has kids who are younger, so she's dealing with, those first few years and the paperwork with kindergarten and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And I have kids who are older, and we've done the college applications, and of course the filling out of the lease for the frat house. So,
Yikes.
of concern. So
Yeah.
we had a great conversation about all the paperwork involved and juggling all that, and really like how many trees have to die. I think you said that, Terry,
Yes.
for all this. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's listen to that interview now.
Hi, Maureen. I know that school is coming up, at least for us in our school district. We are starting next week, and last night it took me a good chunk of time to fill out all those forms that it takes to get our kids to the school. How's it going on your end?
Yeah. So we actually still have a few more weeks, and I have the paperwork that I need to fill out, like stacked and in piles on my desk, like ready to go. And I just know that by the end, I'm going to have carpal tunnel syndrome. So I'm trying to schedule a time to do it when I'll no longer need my arms, for a good 12 hours afterwards. And of course, that will never happen. So
It's
there'll
almost
just be a
like
day where I can't do anything.
And you need like a pre-sign forming workout to get ready for that too.
Yes.
Right? Because
You know what? I was thinking about that. Like, okay, this is bad, and this reflects poorly on me, but I think back to when I was in college, and my friends and I we knew we'd have a big weekend coming up, and so we would prepare, like, for the nights leading up to the weekend. We would have a cocktail or two, because we knew it would be a fun weekend. We wanted to feel prepared. I feel like this now, forget the cocktails. Now it's all about paperwork and keeping my kids alive and keeping them legal and registered and signed up. And like, does it ever calm down at all? Like, give me some hope.
No, because what it's all doing is preparing you for the college entrance application. Just wait. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but when you come across that, you'll wish that you were filling out those kindergarten registration forms.
And right now, the best part is some of it, I can just put off on my doctor. Like, okay, I need these filled out, and just drop them off, pick them up. But the amount of paperwork, what's interesting to me is how few organizations use these computers that, I feel like have been around long enough that we should all be using them.
I know. Isn't it ridiculous?
To have to fill everything out by hand is making me insane. And it's the same stuff. And, Yeah.
So what kind of forms are you filling out? I remember what I had to do with my kids, but has it changed? Is it more? I don't know.
Well, let's see. We have a couple of different approaches. There's the typical child approach with no allergies. And so that's pretty straightforward. Name, address, all that kind of stuff. And I can just put N/A through all that stuff.
Nice.
Then my oldest, of course, has Down syndrome, and so some of the paperwork has to address his developmental and intellectual delays. So again, fine, like I've got that down, but it's just such an emotional, that's kind of an emotional dive where I'm filling out the paperwork and I've got to condense this little child's personality down to a couple of lines pointing out his challenges. So that's not fun.
Right.
But then my daughter, I mean, she's got no allergies, no delays. She's 4 going on 14. And so it's very straightforward. But now we have dance and ballet, and we have a shoe fitting. And so, no, I think that it's probably all the same. There's just different levels of emotional drainage, maybe.
Right, and different variations of the same information.
Right.
And then, of course, that emotional investment piece.
Oh, my gosh, and I can never – I feel like when you're expecting a child, there are certain things people should just give you automatically, either at the hospital, at a shower. And one of them is a really cool file cabinet with a drawer for each phase of life. I mean, and like maybe even paperwork you could pre-fill out. I don't know. I just feel like
That'd be great.
There's a way to be prepared for this, and I'm not it. I'm not prepared.
I'll give you a tip for that college application that is going to be on your horizon very, very soon.
No, it's not. It's way off in the distance. Way off in the distance.
What I started doing in middle school is I had a binder for each of my kids. Well, it just started with my son because I realized when they fill out that application, colleges want to know every single little thing, volunteer, activity, club, award, association. I mean, every Girl Scout cookie sold. I mean, it's just nuts.
Right.
So I started every time my kids came home with something like an award or a piece of paper from the school, I just started putting it in this binder. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah,
especially if your child gets no awards, that makes it so easy.
Yeah.
So part of me wants my children to be underachieving, so there's less paperwork. Like, is that a strategy?
Well, I mean, I think
that's just bad parenting.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, and the whole high school thing. I think with the elementary, there's some very standard pieces of information, and then once you get into the high school, there's all this other random stuff. Like I had to sign a form last night acknowledging that I read the dance rules and regulations of the high school, which involves, and it's explicitly spelled out for us, no bumping, grinding, or dancing in the middle of the dance floor at a high school dance. No group dancing, no revealing clothing, and you must have all of your library books turned in.
Oh my gosh, your life has gone back to the set of Footloose.
Isn't it crazy? I know.
Are they allowed to dance, or is there choreographed moves that are pre-approved?
Well, from what I understand, it's a little like a Rihanna concert. It's
yeah, that's true. Times have changed. I mean, back in my day, our school dance, like what was trendy were really baggy clothes.
Exactly.
Oh, we were just so pretty back then.
I know.
And now,
I know. It was a no nonsense kind of environment, and then the sports physical that my daughter has to get for tennis is at like the size of a chapter book. So I don't even want to get into that because I'm still working my way through that. So yeah, it really.
So all right. So we know binders starting. Do you think in middle school, or do you think start even earlier?
For us, we started in middle school, and that's being as far back as we felt was reasonable.
Right.
I didn't want to go back into the kindergarten files.
Right. So you're saying the award for attendance in kindergarten won't count?
I'm not sure. I would hedge to say no. No, you might.
That's okay.
You could probably leave that one out.
We didn't get full attendance anyway, so one less piece of paper.
There you go. Exactly. So
you know what we're really drowning in are the artwork right now.
Yes.
And it's so different. And I remember the day that I was standing in my daughter's preschool, and another mom who was on, child 5 or 6, came along and saw the stack of artwork ready to go home, and she just jokingly said, "Oh, another stack for the recyclable bin." And I remember looking at her with like shock and like, oh my gosh, like you haven't even looked through it. How do you know? How could you possibly consider recycling your child's precious artwork? And now I'm like, shovel that stuff into the bin. Put it at the bottom so they don't see it. It's not personal. We're just going to be overtaken by artwork.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to be ruthless when it comes to kids' artwork and their projects.
Yes.
You have to.
Ruthless
I mean,
is
you
a
don't
good
want
word.
to be too ruthless because you want to save some of the projects that your older child has done for the younger child because then you don't have to redo it.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Oh,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Don't throw them away. You
another
keep that
binder.
science fair project. You can. I think we used the same science fair project, and I only have 2 kids. I think we used it about 4 or 5 times.
Oh,
Through
brilliant.
the years. Yeah.
Brilliant.
no,
And I hope that
really
now has not rendered them no longer eligible for further careers.
I mean, I'm not sure what life lessons that taught them, but really in the big picture, I mean.
But recycling is a hot topic today. Recycling is a hot topic, and it's responsible. So I don't really see a downside.
Upcycle.
Unless, yes, exactly, upcycle. That's awesome. And when a certain child gets to a certain age, can you just then send them back to do different projects for the other kids?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it's your turn. You need to do this.
Yep. Constant cycle. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, those are kind of some little, I guess maybe being on the other side of the tunnel, I can kind of look back and say, okay, well that worked for us and that didn't.
Right.
Sadly, that paperwork will never go away. It will just be its own little piece of heaven
like a monster.
for you at the beginning of every year.
Or heaven. Sure, right, or heaven. And the other thing, too, is when I finally sit down to do it, for the life of me, the only writing utensils I can find in this house are by Crayola. I'm like, please, can I just find an adult pen? And that's another issue. That goes to my organization.
I think that's part of your preparedness workout plan is to get all your Bics lined up in a row.
Right. Like spend a day putting the paperwork together, spend a day making sure you have a pen, maybe 2 pens in case one runs out.
Yeah. And then you're good.
And then, of course, there's, finding the right cocktail to pair with the paperwork.
You know what?
I love it.
And on that note, let's leave it at
Such a bad influence.
Very practical tips for parents on dealing with school paperwork. Thanks, Maureen, for chatting with me again this week.
Thanks, Nicole. I look forward to talking with you again.
And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terry, what have you got for us this week?
Well, I've been trying to write a little bit on a Tumblr I started called Too Old for Cool. And I'm going to write about some of the... while back, Catherine and I watched a whole bunch of TV pilots for the fall season, and I have my notes on them. We weren't able to talk about all of them on the podcast, so I will be writing those up as blog posts. I have one up now on, I think it's This Is Us. Is that the one with the video that everybody watched, but I have no idea what it's about?
Yes.
So I have a blog post up for that, and we'll be having more as time goes along. So if you want to check out what I think about the new fall TV season, as if my opinion mattered, because I'm just a person watching trailers and not actually the show, you can find that at tooOldForCool.tumblr.com.
Great. Catherine, how about you?
I wanted to just mention something on Very Well that came out recently. It's about the benefits of sports for kids. So we hear a lot about, they can get hurt, or the parents are crazy, or the coaches are crazy, or whatever. But if, for example, the Olympics have your kids all hyped up about sports, suddenly they want to try the luge, even though that's a winter sport, you can check out this piece about why it is really good for them to play sports.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you. And
you still need to share something.
Yeah, you tell us.
Yeah. I put something up last week on my blog, The Inclusive Class, and it's for different ways to teach kids who are in your class and may work below grade level and or have intellectual disabilities. So just a few quick strategies to help teachers include those kids.
Great.
Yeah.
Always helpful. And that is it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Momitude, Nicole is at Nicole Eridix, Catherine is at About Family Fit, and our absent member Amanda is at Amanda Morin. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our blog at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Morin for producing the podcast and providing our in and out music, and I wish everybody a great week. Choose your battles carefully.